Mr. Bob Sadai joining us bright and early today, ladies and gentlemen.
Great morning to you, John. How are you doing, buddy?
Fantastic, Bob. How are you?
That's what I love to hear. Fantastic.
Today's been great. We got everything that we needed to do knocked out today. Already went to the gym. Already had 2 meals so far.
Nice.
Um, Everything's going good.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, I had a really nice workout today too. It was
There you go.
yeah, cardio day. Sweat
Ah,
like a dog. It
I
was
like it. I
nice.
like it.
Yeah, yeah, it was good. How's everybody else doing? Hunnet Luck. I don't know even know how to pronounce that. Mr. AB. Dante Lopez. Good morning, buddy. Long time no talk. Hey, Happy New Year, Vanessa, Mike, Monkey, Kevin, Alan, Simon, of course. Stacy, welcome back. Good to see you again. Been a
Welcome, welcome.
while. We missed your pictures of those delicious foods that you always put up. And of course, your cats.
Mhm.
How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing great.
How are you doing, Bob?
I'm pondering a couple of different things actually today. Not necessarily having to do with business or real estate, but in general. And it's just like lighting a fire under me again, which is great.
You want to talk about
So,
it?
yeah, one of them was it's actually a song. I don't even know the name of the song. I just heard it again today. It's one of those techno songs when you're doing cardio, they put it up, and it's like, dang, that makes a lot of sense. And it's set your life on fire. How do you set your life on fire? How do you put that fire underneath your belly or wherever you want to put it so that, you are just burning, burning like you're supposed to be doing? What are you doing in your life to say that, hey, whether it's in business, relationships, health, spirituality, whatever, what are you doing to set yourself on fire and be that spark for others? We try our best over here. I don't know how big of a fire we have, but we've got a little bit of a spark going here, you know, trying to help others and lead through example. But yeah, what is everybody doing? What are you guys doing? What's Dalton doing? What's Kishore doing? What's Yolanda doing? Andrew, good morning, buddy. What are you guys doing to blaze yourself up?
To what? Set
That
yourself
was
on fire?
one. Yeah.
What are you
Yeah.
doing to set yourself on fire? I like that.
And then the other thing was, I was reading my book again, Arte, and it was talking about the 100 questions, which I thought was great. So the point is for you to sit down, give yourself 45 to 60 minutes of uninterrupted time. Okay? Take a notebook and a pen and start writing 100 questions. Doesn't matter what it's about, whatever comes to your mind, just write those questions. Okay? Whether it has to do about yourself, your life in general. Why is the sky blue? What's my purpose? Whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay? Just write 100 questions. That's the first part. The second part is to see which ones have themes, right? So are they more towards health? Are they more towards just general knowledge? Are they more towards relationships? Whatever. Okay? And then pick the top 10 questions that really resonate with you. And out of those top 10 questions, organize them, rank them, okay, as far as what's most important. And the idea is once you do that, you will understand where your values are, what's most important to you in your life, Okay. And it can be a guiding light for you in what you do. So I like that a lot.
I like that too.
I check my bank account and reflect on my current reality. That's how I set myself ablaze. Fantastic. That's great, Kevin. Congratulations. Looking for the lighter fluid. Love it. Wim Hof. That's fantastic. I love that guy. That's where I started doing the cold showers from.
Yeah,
Getting back into my morning routine feels so much better having one. Yeah, it does. Most people like routine. I don't know. Some people say, "Oh, spontaneity." Yeah, that's great for a short period of time, I think, for me at least.
for a
But for
period of
me
time
in
for sure.
general, yeah, for me in general, I want routine. I like routine.
Because when you have routine, you have control, Bob.
You do. You absolutely do. You know? And I think we all are needy people who want control.
I know I
Some
want
more than
control.
others. Yeah. Yeah, I bet it does, Simon. We're having a quote unquote cold uh, weather going through here with rain and everything right now. And that cold shower did not feel good this morning. But it wakes you up, and after like 30 seconds or so, you're all ready to go. Good morning.
Morning.
We had a guest there for a sec.
Yes, sir.
Nice cup of coffee. Coffee
Yes,
for a
sir.
closer. There you go.
Coffee for the closer.
That's what I struggle with, routine and consistency. One of my characteristics that I'm working on. Great. Fantastic. You know, with routine, for me at least, it's you can have a routine for the beginning of the day and your end of the day. You really can't have a routine um, for the entirety of the day because life happens, things come up. You can't control everything. You better not want to control everything because you will be very, very disappointed and depressed. So, but what you have control of is early in the morning and late at night when you go to bed. So take control of that and set some routines up for yourself in that, Kevin.
Another thing that helps is having the non-negotiables, stuff that
There you
has to
go.
get done. And maybe not dependent on a specific time in the day because, like you said, life happens. But you can make sure that they get done.
Yeah. And those non-negotiables, you don't want too many of them.
3 meals is
Three.
a good one.
Yeah. Three. That's what I have. Three non-negotiables every day, you know? And if you finish those three and you feel like it, go ahead, add a couple more. Okay? But first, finish the first three. The first three most important things. Eat the frog first, you know?
Love that. Ladies and gentlemen, what
Non-negotiable.
types of deals are you working on? I want to know where's
Yeah.
everybody at. I got an update for you, Bob. I talked to the land lead yesterday. And by the way, if you guys aren't already, I'm posting all of these calls. I make them live on my Instagram, and they're all there. We really do this business. We don't charge anybody. We're not gurus. We just really do this business. We're really in the trenches, and so I just record the conversations that I have with real people talking about real estate, and I post it up there for you guys to see. And I pretty much had the conversation with her, and I asked, you know, why were you a little hesitant about letting us market the property? And she told us
There you go.
about an experience that she had with a realtor who didn't even list the property on the MLS, was only listed on his website. And then after the property contract expired, brought a potential buyer to the property on the same day of her brother's funeral. So there was like a huge
Oh my
emotional,
God.
yeah. So I had to really, understand her situation and let her know that I understand the frustration of working with somebody that's unprofessional. And I can assure her that working with me and my team, we are professional. We hold ourselves to a high standard, and we simply would not allow anything like that to happen. And that really built up a lot of trust and confidence. The only other thing she wanted to negotiate was the price of the mobile home that's sitting on the property. There is a mobile home sitting on the property. Originally, she wanted 75,000. I shot her a counter at 25, and we're meeting in the middle at 50. So I'm gonna get back on the phone with her today. I'm gonna sort everything out in terms of the price, and then I'm going to write up the novation agreement. And hopefully, what's today? Today's Wednesday, right? We should likely get that signed later today or tomorrow, and then the process begins. And
Fantastic.
that when I looked at the comps in the area, guys, there's 21 acres for sale. They want $2.5 million for 21 acres. I don't know how long it's been on the market. I got to reach out to the agent and do a little bit more market research.
There
But
you go.
even if we can get this sold, um, you know, just 12,000 an acre, estimated 97 acres, 12,000 acres, 97 acres. That's 1.16 mil, and then I subtract um, agent commissions of 6%, which I'll try to negotiate this go round. So
There you
I'll
go.
times 0.94. It's pretty standard, and then I've got to give the seller $825,000. I'm going to ask if that's going to be the number for her. I think she would agree to that. So 825,000. That would leave a spread of $269,160 on this deal.
Mouth-watering, juicy. Love it.
The thing is, Bob, it's cool to like talk numbers and stuff, but like I've already done it. I've already done it. This is not.
Yeah.
This isn't like a dream. Like, oh, John is up here talking numbers. Oh, this is so cool. Clickbait. Like, no, guys, I've already closed on one of these, so I can. I know. I know it's real, and I know I can do it again and again and again and again and again and again.
See, you weren't fed a fish, you were taught how to fish. And so now you can continuously get that fish,
That's
right?
absolutely right, Bob. And I'll tell you what, I learned everything I learned through the power of this community here. I mean, guys, you got incredible heavy hitters. The amount of value that Bob alone brings on a daily basis is just life changing. So really tap in and take advantage of this opportunity because there is no other community doing it like us. There is no one else showing up day in and day out. I see the same people showing up day in and day out, deciding to make a difference in their lives. And I just want to say for all of you that are showing up and staying committed to this grind, making the commitment every single day that I am proud of you and you should be proud of yourselves. So
Absolutely.
don't let anything discourage you. The number one most important thing is that you don't give up. You cannot lose if you don't quit. I think Alex Hormozy said that, and that really changed my life when I heard that.
Yeah,
You cannot lose if
absolutely.
you don't quit.
Yeah, I like to follow that up with not dead, can't quit.
Hmm,
Not dead. I'm not dead. I can't quit.
I love that.
You gotta go. Yeah, yeah. Pain is great. Pain is fun. Pain is good. People avoid pain, but pain is good. You guys can, if I was taught that in kindergarten, I would be so much more ahead in my life. Pain is growth. Absolutely, Damien. Dalton, I have a deal that's supposed to close tomorrow, and the seller was supposed to get the tenants out, but the buyer drove by and the tenants are still there. With it being an as is buy and the buyer wants it vacant, what are you doing in this situation? Well, what's the seller telling you? Why are the tenants still there? How much is the seller supposed to get on this deal? I'd hold back. You want to jump on Dalton and talk? Because it's going to be a while, or you're at work and can't. But if you can jump on and talk, that'd be great. But basically, the seller is the one jeopardizing the deal right now, unfortunately, by not performing. Okay. So if your buyer backs out, which he has the right to, um, because part of the deal is the property must be vacant. You got to find out what's going on with the tenants. Maybe have a conversation with the tenants and say, hey, we're purchasing this property. You were given enough notice. Hopefully, they were given enough notice by the seller. Um, we really need you to be moving. How can we help you with that? So if you can come up, great. If not, type away. Let us know. Do y'all own rental properties? How do you start that from a young age? That's a great question. Yes. And how you start at a young age is by learning first so that you buy the right stuff and find someone who is doing this, okay? And learn from them, okay? I mean, there's just so many different things to be said about that that I can't just say one sentence or even a paragraph about it. But yes, the younger you start, the better. Okay, as far as rental properties are concerned. But the most important thing as far as rental properties is to make sure that they cash flow at all times. Okay, cash flow and cash on cash return are the two most important things in rentals. And the master of that, Mr. Matt Riley, has joined us now. So if he wants to talk
Hey,
about that, I'd love to hear his take on rental properties. I'm at work,
here he
unfortunately. Yes,
is.
seller doesn't want to do anything about it. Seller gave them verbal notice,
Don't
but they
do it.
won't.
Oh, don't do it, huh?
Leave
don't
more for Matt.
don't do it.
That's funny.
Who's
Why is that?
is someone just asking general questions about rental properties?
Yeah, do you own rental properties? And if so, how do you start that from a young age? Damien did.
Yeah, I think uh I think as I get older and more experienced, rental properties are just like anything else, right? Where you have to learn, are they good for you as an individual? Is that going to be your wealth builder,
There you
or
go.
are you more of a business builder, or are you more of a different type of rental properties? Again, look great on social media. All these young guys that talk about owning 20, 40, 50 properties. But it's a grind, man. It's not passive by any means. Is that my feedback?
I think so.
Ugh, I'm on my laptop. Um, it's a grind for sure. It's not passive by any means. Um, you have to have great systems in place, boots on the ground. I was messaging Bob this morning about a market, and it can be a tough market where we were talking about. So,
Yeah.
but on the flip side, if you can do all your research, I'm gonna have to go on my computer, aren't I? 1 second.
I
You guys,
I'm yeah,
can
there
you
you
hear?
go. Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. I think KISS, keep it simple, stupid, but also do your research and learn as much as you can so you can jump in as educated on owning rental properties because it can be great. I'm in Franklin, Tennessee because I own rental properties because I did it early in life. I built up a portfolio and I ended up being able to sell that portfolio creatively and it allowed me to live a life now in Franklin, Tennessee based off of my rental portfolio that I owned and operated myself. But that same rental portfolio can be built and that snowball can get very big. And if you don't know what you're doing, that snowball can bankrupt you. That snowball can, just as much as it can make a great life for you, it can make a horrible life for you, and it can cause a lot of stress and a lot of non. I'm dealing with 4 units right now with a partner, and it's a problem. There's the management company that's in place is terrible. We have an eviction that's taking place. We got a damaged unit. We got a tenant that moved out like 3 months ago, and the management company didn't even know. I got an insurance claim for the two roofs that has been going on since August. It's caused a lot of stress in my partnership where now he wants to sell. He wants me to buy him out so he doesn't even have to deal with the properties anymore. And then
goal.
once you
Yeah.
start diving deeper into real estate and you have the experience, then you start finding other avenues that you could potentially be doing,
Yeah.
like seller financing your property. So you're not the landlord, you're the bank. You can do commercial. You can do. There's so many different things that you can do inside real estate, and that blanket like owning rental properties. Yeah, of course, like the mom and pops of the world, small business owners. That's the rental property owners that own 2 to 4 properties a piece. That can be great. But then there's so many other avenues that you can do too. So it's just learning yourself as you get more experience. I thought I wanted to be a landlord when I first started out. I especially thought I wanted to be a Section 8 landlord and do all of those things. And it was great for a long time. And then I just evolved as a person, and that's not for me anymore. So now I'm doing other things that are not being a traditional landlord, but still being involved in real estate.
Love it. Yeah.
Oh God. I think the the real estate stuff in general, I think again, not only do you have to figure out what kind of real estate person you want to be. Again, is that commercial? Is that owning traditional landlord real estate? What is it? And then if it is owning landlord style real estate, what kind of tenant base are you looking for? Do you want A class properties with A class tenants? Do you want the opposite end of the spectrum? Do you want the Section 8? Do you want to do midterm rentals? Do you want to do short term rentals? Like, figure out what type of operator you are as an individual, and go that route. Again, I just fell into the Section 8 stuff on my first property purchase. I bought a 3 unit that just so happened to have Section 8 tenants in it, 2 Section 8 tenants and one non-Section 8 tenant. And it just so happened that I did my first eviction on the first building I purchased, and it was on the non-Section 8 tenant. And so I was like, oh, and the section, though, the third floor, she was with me for a while. She had the cleanest unit I've ever, still to this day, I've ever seen. So every time I had a showing, I would show her unit. And then there was a pipe burst in that building. That different third floor tenant moved out in the wintertime, and she moved out in the middle of winter and turned off her gas 2 days prior to moving out. So a pipe burst in the building, and it caused $30,000 worth of damage. And I didn't even know if I had the proper insurance set up at that point. So all my tenants moved out. They were calling me, telling me that I needed to get them hotels and pay for their stuff. And I got water coming down. It looked like the scene out of Jumanji. I mean, there was drywall and insulation falling from the ceilings.
Wow.
And that was the first time in my real estate journey that I remember going, I was on workman's comp. I was still working in the union, and I hurt my back, and I was out of work for 10 months, and
Mm.
workman's comp didn't pay me for 3.5 months. So I drove. I wasn't even supposed to be driving. I was supposed to be like in bed still. And I drove to the building. I saw all of this taking place. I wasn't getting paid for my job. I was almost 4 months deep of no money. I was getting married that same year. So I was paying for all of that, no money coming in from my job. And then I come to my building and I see $30,000 worth of damage. There's floating
Oof.
water, furniture and shit was floating in the first floor unit, in the eviction unit. I walk into that unit. There's like 9 dudes with dreads. There's a tattoo shop going on in one of the bedrooms, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And I had to go outside, and I was like, "This is how you, this is how you lose a building." Like I thought I was gonna have to foreclose. I didn't know what I was gonna have to do. I was like, "I'm gonna go bankrupt on this. I have no idea what to do here." And thankfully, insurance was set up correctly. The insurance claim took place. I had a company come in and they renovated the whole entire building with the insurance claims, got it resituated, got it stabilized, and then I had some great tenants in there, had some bad tenants. But at that point, it was kind of that first one where I was like, all right, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And then that allowed me to buy more properties after that. I did a bunch of refinances and bought more properties, and then you just slowly learn. And it was great while it lasted, but you get tested a lot when you own rental properties,
Oh yeah.
especially in the beginning. If you're trying to manage them yourself and you're trying to cut costs, a lot of people in the beginning will cut costs and they'll say, "Oh, why give someone else 10% when I can just manage them myself?" If you're in this
Yeah.
business to grow, you only want to own 2 properties, that's fine. Manage them yourself. That's going to be your full-time job now, is to manage your own properties. But if you're in this business to grow And to grow that into 10 properties, 50, whatever your goal is, you cannot self-manage your properties for the most part. It's an impossible task. Every time that you're looking at acquiring a new one of your old ones is giving you a problem and you got to pay attention to that. And it's just impossible to move on from that point. So you have to hand those reins off to another individual to manage those properties. It's the same thing with wholesaling. Eventually can you do everything yourself as a wholesaler in the beginning? Sure. You're going to pull your own list. You're going to do your own cold calls. You're going to do your own texting and calling buyers. You're going to be doing all of it yourself. Data management, your spreadsheet, all of the things that go on with wholesaling, you're going to do yourself. And if you only want to do a couple deals a year, you can just continue doing it yourself. But if you want to grow and scale and create a business out of this, you are eventually going to have to delegate those things to other people and to other positions. And it's the same with owning real estate. If you have a full-time job and you just want a rental property or two to supplement some income, I don't want to work overtime, so I want a rental property to make me the same money I'd make during overtime, so I can only work 40 hours a week and see my kids on weekends. That's cool. Then you're going to manage that and you can handle that. But if you actually want to, potentially retire off of real estate or quit your job from real estate and do all those things, you have to treat it like a business the same way you do with wholesaling. And you're going to eventually have to delegate that out to property management. But make sure, I've been burned by so many of these dickheads. Make sure you interview and you ask the questions and you ask them different things so you know who's in control of your properties. Because the goal is to not have to check in with them every day. So there's going to be weeks, maybe a month, 2 months where you're not talking to them. You want to make sure that it's in the right hands. So all the things that you would be doing are being done and you're not having to check in every single day.
Love it.
Yeah. Can't add any more to that.
That's my long and short of it.
I don't know about the short of it, but that's the long of it for sure.
That's
So
the long of it. That was my therapy session. You could tell I'm dealing with these 4 units right now, and I literally got the email from my partner. I think it was yesterday, where he's like, "Hey man, here's the statements that we got." He's like, "If you want," he's like, "give me 20 grand, buy me out, and I'll be done with it." And so even if you're in this game for a while, you still just you deal with stuff. And my partner, to his credit, he's not really a real estate guy per se. He's a high net worth individual. I think he's got a 30 million net worth. He's got over 10 million. I think he's at like 19 million in real estate, commercial real estate primarily. But he's a very, very hands off, high value individual that we were going to do some stuff together. And this first one just was not ideal. So you just gotta roll with it and figure it out.
Yeah. And you move on.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And always be transparent. Like try to be as transparent
Yeah.
with people. Don't duck anybody. Don't hide. Like I could
Yeah.
easily just avoid his emails. I could avoid the communication. I could do all of that, but you got to take it on the chin and tell him what's going on. Tell him what you've been doing during this entire process, and what you're doing to get it to where it needs to be. So that's where we're at right now.
Dalton Woods continues with his question. I don't know if you heard the first part, Matt. Got a property under contract. He has a buyer for it. It got tenants. Seller was supposed to get rid of the tenants and bring the property vacant at close of escrow. Not happening. Tenants are still there. So he wants to know what his options are. Apparently, the seller has only given a verbal notice, so that's not going to work
Oh,
legally.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that's going to put a block. Dalton, my thing to you would be, I would go and have a conversation with the seller. Motivation is the biggest thing here. If he's really serious about selling, okay, whether he sells to you or somebody else, he's going to have to give written notice and have those tenants out. Okay. If he doesn't want to deal with that, no problem. But now you got to drop the price because you or your buyer have to go through that hassle of getting rid of them. And that means that you're probably not going to get paid rent or be able to get rid of them for at least 1 to 2 months, depending on where the state is, what state the property is in. Okay. So I would make sure I would get a hell of a deal if that was the case, that I had to get rid of them and I have to start the eviction process and everything. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's just 1 or 2 months. notice. After that, they could be squatters. Again, depending on the state. If it's in Texas, man, laws on your side. You can get rid of them in 3 weeks, if need be, if not shorter. Okay,
That's
but
why I love Texas lease
yeah,
options. All these sellers are like, "What happens if they don't pay?" I was like, "You're in Texas.
yeah,
They'll be out of here within 2 weeks or less."
yeah, exactly. Now in California, different
You
story.
might as well make them part of the family at that
Yeah,
point.
exactly, exactly. Can you believe there's still people in LA County that are still going through COVID and not paying rent?
That's it. I mean, that's just
It's stupid. It as is absolutely stupid.
just
So,
don't.
anyways,
I don't know.
you
They
need to
decided.
make sure that the tenants are evicted, or if you're going to take it on, that price ain't going to work. And you need to make sure that the seller understands. If he's serious about selling, okay, that place needs to be without tenants. Okay, whether he does it or you do it, someone has to do it, and a verbal is not going to work.
Yeah, 100%. It's like anything else. It's like selling as is. It's like let's just say it wasn't being sold as is, and all of a sudden you're a traditional buyer and you go do an inspection on a property, and a big item gets picked up during the
Yeah,
inspection, and the
yeah,
seller's like, "I'm not fixing that." It's like, all right, well, this isn't like a secret item. Every buyer that walks in is going to see this, so you're either gonna have to fix it with me, or you're gonna have to fix it at some point, or you'll end up doing a price reduction. So why not just try to figure this out now? And so, depending on the market, and I think he said South Carolina. I'm not super familiar with their, but it's a southern state, so I have to imagine it's probably um, in the favor of the landlord. But like Bob said,
yeah,
probably case scenario 1 to 2 months. Illinois is pretty much the worst of the worst. So anywhere else is a bad one is 1 to 2 months. So make sure you get a price reduction that reflects at least 1 to 2 months of cash flow, plus the potential of doing a rent ready turnover at that point too. Who knows what the property is going to look like?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm facing
Um,
a similar situation with one of my innovations right now. We've marketed these properties as is, very clear, as is, and then we got an offer. The seller made it contingent upon an appraisal. It appraised for what we asked, and now they see that there's mold in the property and they want us to fix it. I feel as though that's not our responsibility. They knew what they were getting themselves into, um, and I don't want to come out of pocket on the deal. So I'm gonna have to have that conversation with the agent today. A lot of conversations to be had today, but I'm excited, grateful to be able to have them.
were you aware of mold previously?
No,
Did the previous owner disclose that to you?
no, they didn't. But I mean, we're buying it as is,
Was
though,
this
Bob.
Doesn't matter. Mold is a different situation. I understand what you're saying. Yes. Okay. But there are some things that you need to disclose if you know of them. Mold is one of them. So be careful on that one. I completely agree with you. You're selling it as is, but then your price better reflect that too. Okay. So, because mold is just a different, well, where's this at? Property.
Huntsville, Alabama.
Alabama. Okay. I'm not familiar with laws in Alabama as far as mold is concerned, but in Florida, California, man, oh man, that's a mess.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
So
you'll get mold disclosures on rentals and on purchase. Like when
yeah,
you get a property disclosure on a sale.
yeah,
When you put a tenant, at least in Cook County, when you do a sale,
yeah.
we
No,
Good
it's
have
old
on
Cook
the tenant
County.
side, you have disclosures. Yeah, good old Cook
pretty much
County.
pretty much everywhere.
Yep.
Mold is one of
Yeah,
those things.
I mean, we
So
also had to sign the disclosures, but we were not aware, so there was an option to say, we're not aware.
yeah, okay. Well, good luck. See what happens.
Thank you, Bob.
Dalton says he's gonna have a talk with the buyer and see if he wants to do a 60-day lease with them, and if not, then exactly what you said, price drop or get them out. Well, before you have that conversation with the buyer, I think you still need to have that conversation with the seller. Okay. Someone
60
needs
day
to get,
lease is tough though, because then you're just kicking the can down the road.
yeah, yeah. And again, you're not the owner of the property yet. Therefore, you're not allowed to give uh, eviction notices to tenants. The
Hmm.
seller still needs to do that.
Yeah, the seller needs to be proactive.
Yep.
If you have power of attorney, can you do that?
On behalf of the seller,
Yeah.
I guess. I guess, but not as the buyer.
Sure.
I would just, yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure if it's this close to closing, that seller can taste that money.
Yeah.
They don't want to blow this deal, and especially on a tenant situation, which is frustrating for everybody. So, and I'm sure he doesn't want to do a price reduction. So
Well, it
I
goes
would
back to his motivation. If he's really interested and serious about selling, yeah, you're absolutely right. He wants that money and he'll probably cooperate. But if he doesn't care and he's like, I'll hold on to it. I'm still making money. I don't owe anything. This is free and clear. Every rent money that I get, it's, you know, uh,
yeah, of
free.
course. Yeah. This
Then he
is this
doesn't
is a
care.
good experience for everybody though. Like make sure if you're doing any transactions with tenants in place and those tenants are supposed to be gone, make sure you get some sort of documentation that shows that they were served written notice to vacate the property.
Yep,
Because
exactly.
almost in every state, I have to imagine it's every state, a
It is.
tenant needs to be served written notice
Yeah,
to vacate that property. Because
absolutely.
then if they go beyond that written notice, now you have grounds to start the eviction process, which is another written notice that needs to be submitted, but that cannot be submitted before the standard written notice to vacate is submitted. So if people are just doing verbals, you're going to make it all the way to the closing table and be in these situations. And then depending on the state, you might now have to wait 2 months in order for that person to leave. And now you're having to deal with price reductions and doing all this.
Minimum.
And
Yeah.
exactly. So just
Mm.
make sure bare minimum tenants in place, they're going to be vacated at closing. Okay. Are they aware they need to be vacated at closing? And have they been submitted written notice to vacate the property? So they are legally gone by the time closing comes.
The other thing is, and I got to jump off, but one last point on that is that no matter what, make sure that the tenants are given written notice because
Mhm.
even if you give them verbal and they comply and they work with you, in the future they can still come back and say, "Hey, we never got a written notice." Okay, written whatchamacallit? Yeah, written notice to evict. So they can sue you, and then the buyer's going to come back and everybody's going to get involved in that lawsuit. So make sure it's written.
Yeah, and everybody's nice in the beginning, right? So you could give them a
Yeah.
verbal notice, and they go, "Okay, sure,
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, we'll
exactly.
we'll agree." And then all of a sudden, something happens, and there's a fight between the husband and the wife, and now one of them's in a bad mood, and you're like, "You know what? Actually, we're not leaving." And now you just
Mm.
wasted 4 weeks of a verbal commitment, and now they're putting their feet in the ground, and they're like, "We're not leaving." And then you haven't provided them the actual legal documents that are required. So now you just wasted 4 weeks, and now you're
Yep.
starting the process day one, 4 weeks later.
Yep. All right, gents and ladies, I got to take off, but great seeing you all. I'll see you guys
Great seeing you,
tomorrow.
Bob.
Take care.
All
Thank you,
right, Bob.
Bob.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already figured it out, this is the number one most valuable real estate community in existence. Please consider inviting somebody you think will benefit from being in proximity with us and then that link, reirev.com. Matt, we got a special call tomorrow. The close friend of yours, Mr. John Jackson, is coming to join us.
He's coming on, huh? I have a
Coming
Zoom with
on.
him today.
Oh, yeah? Tell him I said, what's up?
I'll let him. What should I? Does he speak Portuguese?
He's learning. I think he's learning. He's taking some classes. Yeah.
All right. Let me know if you want me to take anything back to him when I talk to him today.
You can tell him, uh, boa tarde.
They get me slapped through Zoom.
All right, y'all. Take it easy. Much love. Let's kill it. Let's crush it today. We got calls on top of calls. AB, I got to talk to you, man. I'm getting a update for one of the properties you got in Florida. We've got an offer, so let's get it closed out. Let's get
Boom,
to this
boom,
money,
boom.
man.